All right. Hey, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon at this point. Today, we have a great session on low code, high return. Nicole's going to to present for us for our session today. So feel free to familiarize yourself with the Goldcast. Make sure that you are throwing questions into chat and into the Q&A. We'll have some time at the end of our session to answer some of those questions as well as a brief survey. But we are ready to get rolling, and Nicole, it's all for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be able to share with everybody again. This is, I think, my third time presenting at BBCon, and it's always a lot of fun. So what I want to talk to you today about is sort of how our organization really started adapting to using Power Automate to increase our capacity. Sometime, just for background, around the pandemic, our workload really increased, but our staff didn't. So we needed to find ways to sort of make the most of what we had, and that was when we really started exploring Power Automate, which has been a game changer for us. And I hope that I can share the ways that it might help your organizations as well. So I'm just going to start with sort of why we would bother automating. And I will say that while it is great to have lots and lots of dedicated staff, we don't have an unlimited supply of folks in our department. Our staff all depend on solid data to make good decisions, to report on successes, to see sort of where we need to tweak things, to be able to reach out into our constituents in the best ways. And that data has to be maintained. And there's a lot of ways that data maintenance can be standardized. And if we can standardize it, we can automate it, most likely. And then you have time that you had been spending sort of on these administrative tasks that might not be the highest value. You can sort of put those aside and devote your brain to things that needs a person to think about them, a person to strategize. So this slide just sort of shows 3 automations that we have running. I have a lot more than 3 at this point, but these were the sort of 3 that were the easiest to quantify for me. So we're saving between 5 and 30 minutes a day emailing an automated gift digest to folks who need to know. So our donor relations team, our grants team, sometimes our gift processing team, just sort of keeping track of things that haven't been acknowledged yet, things that have been received from a donor that we really want to keep an eye on, so those sort of things, instead of having our development assistant manually create these emails and add the links so that folks can get to the data. It goes automatically every night. And that's saving, between, depending on the day, could be up to half an hour. We are
Hey, Nicole,
also
just going to pop in quick. It's still sitting on your title slide.
Oh, so sorry. Let me try stopping sharing and then starting again. This is the wonders of remote things where you can't see what's going on. All right, can you see now? Is that a yes?
Yes, it's still the main kind of PowerPoint itself. So if you do F5, it should hide the kind of side piece and allow you to see the whole slide for everyone.
Okay. Better? You know what? I'm going to go back to what Goldcast has, and then when we get to the ones that aren't working right, I'll just talk a little extra.
Perfect.
All right. So there. Everybody can see this? Perfect. All right. So sorry. So we're saving between 5 and 30 minutes with that automated gift digest. We're saving, depending on volume, between 3 and 10 hours a week at automatically attaching gift documentation to our gift records. That way, if somebody has a question about a gift, we can see, the copy of the letter that came with it, or if it came through email, we can see the receipt that the donor got, instead of manually attaching those. We're saving about, I would guess, 40 hours a year in doing a one-off manual report to our board on, comparing ourselves to benchmarks. And the benefit of this is that 40 hours that we're not spending on that is being used for other things, but the benchmark report is now updated automatically daily. So it's also not immediately stale. So we're saving almost 700 hours a year just from these 3 automations, which, which is a lot. It's a lot of time that we can spend doing other things. So the question for why automate, what could you do with an extra 10 hours a week? Or what could your staff do with an extra 10 hours a week? You could write a better acknowledgement letter. You could plan a new appeal. You could do a lot of things. And how would having up-to-date metrics change your decision-making every month? You could be able to more quickly sort of change mid-course. If you see something isn't working or something's working really well, you can have a time to celebrate. And think about what the value of clean data is for your organization. A lot of data hygiene tasks can be automated. And how much more sort of satisfaction can your staff have when they're not bogged down with administrative tasks and they can start doing creative things, strategic things. They can start doing a lot of things that they just didn't have capacity for before. So here's the best place that we had to start. Your mileage might vary. The first thing I did was I really made a list for myself of everything that I was doing daily, weekly, or monthly that involved data cleanup or data entry or reporting or sort of those internal communications. And those things that I could put into a query, I figured I could automate. Also thinking about what pain points do you come across? What is a task that is always there and always takes way too much time and you just dread? So I like to have the little robots do those. You should also talk to your team about what they're doing and how it intersects with your donor data. And what workarounds they might be doing that you didn't know about because of current gaps in your current process. This morning, I listened to Amy Kincaid talk about workarounds as being technical debt. And I think that's a good way to describe it, but it's also sort of telling you that there's something that's not working that your team needs. Yeah, in meetings, we could automate that. Yes, that I have said that a lot of times too, Holly. What things does your team wish that they had access to quicker without having to go through your database person? There's a lot of things that maybe doesn't need to be a formal report, but you can get pretty quickly. And also, there can be benefit to workflows and project management if you take these administrative tasks off. It gives folks more time in their day. So what can be automated? Not everything, but a lot of things can. And like I said before, if you can easily group a bunch of records that you want to do something with, you can automate that thing that you're going to do with them. If you can draw an if-then statement for sort of what you want to do with these records, especially if there's, not a huge number of conditions, right? You can make a lot of conditions, but it gets a little complicated to keep track of. Then you can probably automate it. Like we have an email that goes out now that goes to our donor relations team to let them know if a donor increases from their last gift by 51%. And it's super easy. It does the math. It lets them know. It gives them the contact information and a direct link to the record, and they can have more timely stewardship for those folks. Or another one that I love is if there's a new constituent that was created, looking up them by their address or their email for possible duplicates overnight, which is just helpful. All right, so starting with that, so you've talked to your team, you've talked to yourself, and you've really thought about what you've got. So you just want to prioritize your wish list. You can't do everything at once. It's really good to take a look at things by complexity and by how useful they'll be for you. So something that is not very complex, but super useful, you should do first because that's your low-hanging fruit. For us, that was that major gifts and grants team gift digest. So they know what gifts are in their queue for acknowledgement every morning. So it's good to sort of get those first things out so you can have success early. And it's also good to, as you work through your list, you can reprioritize things because some things that seemed less urgent might become more urgent, or, vice versa. And this comes really back to also, you need to draw a process map so you know before you start what you're doing and what you want to happen. There can be a creep that happens in making these where you end up, in a completely different spot. So just making yourself a map to know what's in this flow that you're working on right now is super helpful. So you want to know what event's going to trigger your workflow, and that event might just be that it turns 10:59 at night, or there's a new gift, or any other myriad things. You also want to know what you want to be the final results, so that you know if you're on track to get there. And as you're building your workflow, this is a good spot to sort of keep notes about how you built it, what you learned on the way, what you might have had to change because of coding limitations or something. And that will help you later on if you need to do any troubleshooting to sort of give yourself some breadcrumbs to make adjustments later. And then after you're done, check back with your team. Make sure that the workflow is doing what they expected to, and making tweaks along the way if you need to. And you're a part of your team, so make sure that this is actually a value add for you, that you're actually getting some time back in your day where you're not having to think about, adding custom fields to this group of records every, week or something. And after your flow is how you want it to be, I would schedule sort of a time, I don't know, quarterly, annually, something like that, to just make sure that it's still doing what you want and that your needs haven't changed. And now we're going to come to some of my favorite automations. And this is where I have to apologize because the slides sort of shift to the left a little bit further from here. But there is a PDF that was shared, which I'm going to paste again in the comments so that you can have this, the whole document and not just most of the documents. So my first favorite was also my first flow, and that was those gift digest emails. The flow is triggered every night. It runs through some lists that are shared that were saved in NXT, and then it builds a consolidated table to email specific groups about gifts that were received, the amount, the restriction, the links to the gift record and to the constituent record. It's been helpful for our team to sort of manage their acknowledgement process for those ones that are going to need a little bit more hands-on for stewardship. I did add a QR code here, and in the PDF, there's a link here, so you can get this flow from the template showcase if you'd like it. This one is very bespoke for Preble Street. It saved me a ton of time, though, so I'm going to share it. We use Volunteer Hub for our volunteer managements, which does have a plugin to talk to Razor's Edge, but it's not great. But we did want to know those major donors or those prospects or those, special friends who were coming to volunteer, so that we might be able to go over and have, somebody from leadership say hi or thank you. So we have this, will tell us who's scheduled for the next week, and it also has for us some giving information, some last action information. Again, happy to share this. Just go to the QR code. Some on-demand reports based off for us, it was a Microsoft form. This allows folks who don't have access to Razor's Edge, or they don't have Oh, I'm happy, Lauren, that you have those. You like the QR codes. I'm really happy. Um, so this one will, for folks who don't have credentials in Raiser's Edge or maybe don't have the technical know-how to pull a report, it's going to let them put in the start date and end date for a gift list, and it will pull it out. It makes mine makes sort of a fake pivot report so they can see things really quickly. It's super easy. I've got two kinds of acknowledgement letters here. The one that is really cut off is automated acknowledgement letters that run every night. This is not the one that we use at Preble Street, but it is the one that this one does have the benefit of having a video to go along to answer questions on how to set it up. Super useful. We don't have to spend a lot of time waiting for, exports or merges. It's just ready when we, yes, Christine, I'm really sorry about the screen shift. It's on the PDF that I shared from Adobe. So yeah, so it's super easy to just have those created. It creates a link for us in a Teams message that says your letters are ready for you to review. There's another one, the one that you can see more clearly in this one. This is a link that is actually on a constituent's gift record. So there's a Power app that you can select your letter, hit go, refresh your page, and there's a letter that you can edit that will be saved to the attachment section of the gift. All right, this one is reading. So we use Blackbaud forms for our giving. These ones will actually take a look at the receipts that we get, the notifications for gifts, and create a PDF and save it to SharePoint or to Google. Dan Snyder made that Google one, which is great, and also inspired me to make an Outlook one. Joseph, the automated letters are all in one document, so it's a one big spool. When we really started thinking about the ways that we were taking too much time on administrative tasks, the biggest thing was our grants team coordinating with all of the different departments, finance, programs, for items for reporting or for grant applications. It was something where we were having to maintain a couple of different systems. We had everything in Raiser's Edge because that's our system of record. But then we had multiple different documents and Excel files for to track work. And it was a huge amount of work for our grants team to sort of maintain two systems, and also to have to ping folks when things were due. So we made a workflow that connects our Raiser's NXT actions to Microsoft Planner, and Planner will remind folks of what to do. It's really great. It saves so much time. So I stole this one from Dan Snyder. We haven't used it yet, but I'm really excited to, because we just sort of changed our structure in our department, where we will have a gift officer for the first time. So we really want to see moves management, sort of a dashboard. And this, Dan has already made this and was gracious enough to share it. Lindsay, yeah, I do think that you could have the actions work with Asana as well. I think that there is an Asana plugin or a connector in Power Automate. All right. So this is really just the very beginning of what you could do. Really, if you think about it, as long as there's an endpoint for it in the API, you can probably do something with it. So I would suggest, if you're getting started, to visit the Blackbaud Sky developer community. That's where a lot of these templates that I shared are stored. There's also a really fantastic group of folks who are willing to help you troubleshoot, to listen to your ideas that you can help people troubleshoot with. It's a really active group. I think it might be the most active Blackbaud community group, but I don't want to stake anything on that. There's also some great users groups that meet monthly around Power Automate and Power BI, where folks will help you out. And that's it for my my presentation. But we do have a few minutes left for questions if anybody has any. What do we use for the gift documentation workflow to attach copies of gift copies or emails to gift records? We use, I think it's a combination of 3 flows. We are saving our documents to a SharePoint Drive folder. Once a day, we have an automation that will take a look at that and match those gifts with gifts that have been entered that don't have there's like a checkbox in the SharePoint library that says whether or not it's already been added to a record. In order to make this work, we did have to add a gift custom field that has the name, so we'll just match that way. I'm sure that there's probably a more sophisticated way to do it, but this way works. I can share that. It's not on the template showcase right now just because it's very bespoke to our processes, but I'm happy to share what we have, and you can definitely work around your own, make it fit your organization. The acknowledgement letter automation, how does that work? So it's built off from gift lists in NXT and sort of template files that you have saved separately, and it'll take a look for gifts that haven't been acknowledged that have a certain letter code. That's how it works for us. It'll match if the letter code is one of the ones that we've allowed to automate, it will just create those letters as it goes through a switch system, and then it saves them as it saves them as individual letters. For us, it saves them as individual letters and then as a spool of letters. So we have all of the big list of all the ones that we're going to print for the day. That's the ones that gets edited. I'm not entirely sure why we save the individual letters too, but it's probably helpful for something. The one that is on the community might work a little bit differently, but again, I'm happy to share ours. It's just a little, it's really bespoke for Purple Street. Oh, I'm excited that you're excited to share, to start this on Carol. So for the acknowledgement letters, yeah, we do use the letter code so that we can, when we're doing gift entry, we pick the letter that they're going to get. We have probably 8 circulating at any given time. And yeah, Victoria, I'm happy to share that that workflow. No, I don't have a different list for each letter code. We just have all of the acknowledged gifts going through, and there's a switch that looks at the letter code, and depending on what comes up, it'll pick the letter for you. Yeah, we have created actions from emails. There's actually a really handy plugin that we use for Outlook that's already been built. So if you take a look at the in the marketplace, I think you can find that. You don't have to build it. Yeah, the flow saves each acknowledgement letter to the constituent gift record. Yes, and for us, it's actually saving the 2. It's saving the individual letter and then the daily sort of list of however many letters. Awesome. Are there any questions that I didn't see going through? Because I'm not the best at keeping up with chat, but I feel like I might have. Well, I've added my my email and my LinkedIn. I'm happy to sort of talk through anything if you have any questions. If you sort of get started and you want to know, you want a little advice or you want to share something that's awesome. I really love it when people share things that are awesome. That would be great too, because I would love to be inspired by you and your ideas.
And hey, everyone.
Well,
Thank you so much, Nicole. This is incredible. I, as a Razor's Edge NXT Advisory Plus consultant, this is something that I'm going to be bringing to a lot of the people that I work with as well, because this is a need that we're seeing all the time. So if any of you are working with Advisory Plus, definitely reach out to your consultant to see if this is an avenue you want to go down as well. What I'm going to do now is launch our survey. It's only 4 short questions. If you can answer that, that lets us get a better idea on what types of sessions will be great in the future. Also let Nicole, what a great job she did as well today. But I'm going to launch that now. If you can go ahead and fill that out, it'd be much appreciated. As Lindsay mentioned, yes, this is recorded. It'll be shared after the conference as well. I'll also reach out to the data team to make sure that that document that's been uploaded isn't cut off to the side. But otherwise, that survey is now live for all of you. Thank you all for joining us today for our session today on Power Automate. Enjoy the rest of your conference. If you can fill out that survey, it'd be great. And look forward to seeing you all in another session this next couple days.
Thanks so much, everybody.